Alrighty guys, here today I'm going to show you how I go about backing up my hard drive. I back up all my files. I make a copy of everything just so that I always have two. I don't want to be caught with just one at any time because you don't know when equipment's going to go bad. You don't know when a file is going to get lost or deleted by mistake. So everything gets backed up. I have a 1 terabyte external SSD that I use as my main, and I back up all my files onto two separate 500 gigabyte SSDs just so that if one of my backups gets destroyed, at least only half my files got destroyed, and then I can always just back up that half. So I like to keep everything kind of like separated. I know it's weird. I know in 2021 files aren't getting lost and deleted like they used to be, but I come from an era of floppy disks and all your files were not always safe. So I have been burned in the past where you lose an entire PowerPoint presentation or you lose an entire file because of technology. I know things are much better now, but I don't want to be too safe. It takes not much time to go ahead and back up all your files. So that's what I do, and I'm going to show you how I go about doing that. I'm going to open up One File Explorer and I keep that open here in the left. I'm going to go to this PC so I can see what I've got going on here. And here I see my drives. I have my local disk C is the hard drive that's installed into my computer. It's a 256 gigabyte SSD. It looks like it's pretty occupied there. Go down to the next is T7D. Keep in mind that this is my main hard drive. So the T7D drive is my main. In drive E is my 500 gigabyte T5, and in drive F is my 500 gigabyte T7. All of these are external drives. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up each one in its own separate window without the local disk. I'm not really dealing with my computer's hard drive right now. I'm just dealing with my externals. So here in the top right, we're going to have our T7D, which is again our 1 terabyte, our main hard drive. And then right beneath it, we're going to have T5. And then beneath that, we're going to have our T7F, which is our 500 gigabyte T7. Now, if we look at our main drive, which is a 1 terabyte T7, we see our folders here in our files. Right now, we're going to be dealing entirely in the new computer folder. These are just some older files that I have saved on my hard drive, but we're going to go into the new computer folder. And this is going to be everything that we deal with currently. I'm going to go into completed videos here in my main hard drive, and anything that's not in a folder right now has not yet been synced. If I look at my drives here, I noticed that the T5 is a little bit more full than the T7. So I'm going to start off with the T7 and I'm going to go into completed videos, and I'm just going to move these files that are not in one of these two folders. I'm going to move those straight into the T7 backup area. And it looks like that's about 22 gigabytes worth of data. So we're gonna watch and we're gonna see what the performance is doing. Looks like we've got some action going on in our disk D and our disk F because it's copying from one to the other. And they're both going at about the exact same performance because they are similar drives. They're actually the same model. They're both a Samsung T7, but one is the 1 terabyte version and one's the 500 gigabyte version. They both perform very, very similarly. We're going right out at about 260 megabytes per second, 265, 268, 270. And now that I've copied those files into the smaller T7 drive, I'm gonna move those files straight into a folder that's named T7 500 gigabytes. So that way I know that everything in this folder matches up with this folder. All right, so now that my completed videos are synced, all my completed videos are in a folder. So now that completed videos is synced up, I'm gonna go into my next folder, which is no voice computer screen grabs. And again, anything that's not in one of these two folders needs to find a home. If I go back over to my computer, I can see now that the T5 has more capacity than the T7. So I'm going to go ahead and add these into the T5. Again, transfer rates of 275 megabytes per second between the two devices, not bad. And now that I put all those files into the T5 hard drive, I'm going to move them over to the T5 folder and make sure everything's all synced up. There's two items down in the T5 that do not belong, so I'm going to organize them all by name, and we're going to see which one does not belong. Organize them both by name, and it looks like we've got data backup in here, needs to be deleted right off the bat. And then it looks like this here does not belong. And now it looks like we've got 27 and 27, they both match up. Everything's in a folder, so we can leave here. Next one is going to be PSDs, and still the T5 over here has more capacity right now, so I'm going to start putting some pictures into the T5. Here we are, F through J. I'm going to go through F through J down here, and I'm just going to move these right in. Now I put those in the T5, so I'm going to move them to the T5 folder. See, we just keep everything very organized and everything precisely matched, and then nothing gets lost. You just take your time and just be a little diligent and just make sure nothing gets left behind and everything stays backed up. It's good to put systems into place to make sure these things are always happening, because you should always be backing up your files. You don't want to be left with one copy of anything. And if you're dealing with as many files as I deal with, you're not going to have enough cloud storage in the world to just back it all up to the cloud. Now all the PSDs there are complete. They're all synced up. Now we're going to go into the T5 folder specifically, and we're going to go into PNGs, and we're going to go to PNGs at the T5. It looks like we're pretty synced up here, but the only thing that's missing are these. So we're going to put those down there. Then if you go into pictures, we'll do the exact same thing. Pictures are just small JPEGs. A PNG folder has large JPEGs. That's the only difference, but we back it all up anyway. So that completes that folder. Now we'll go into the T7 and we'll just back these up as well. Now that that's synced up, we can go to our to be edited folder, and this is where a lot of the action is going to happen. So right now the T5 has more capacity than the T7, so we're going to transfer to the T5 first. We're going to go into GoPro files. This is where we keep our unedited video files. That's how I keep mine, because a lot of my stuff is filmed on GoPro. However, I do film on other cameras. I film on Sony, which is what I'm filming on right now, and I also film on a DJI drone. But I call it all GoPro files just because I use a lot of GoPro footage. So look at, these are our two folders, and this is all the footage that we have to transfer over. We've had a lot of footage in the past, it looks like in the past couple of weeks. We're going to go into our T5. We're going to go into to be edited. We're going to go to GoPro files, which matches. So I'm just going to go folder by folder and move it down into the T5. And we're going to see what we can do to even these two numbers out. We want these two numbers to sort of match because we're trying to keep the backup drives on, we're trying to keep them on similar capacity. So that way neither one is being overused. That's a big one. 18 gigabyte file. Transferring at about 265 megabytes per second, minute and 15 seconds. That's not bad. That's a pretty large file. Let's move these into our T5 folder. Since we just moved them into the T5. We also moved Gilbert Randoms in there, so let's move that as well. The T5. Beautiful. And now, to be edited in the T7, GoPro files. 16 gigs coming in. That'll lower this to around 88 versus 81.8, so we're getting closer. We've still got quite a few files to go. Those files can now be moved into my T7 folder here, and now we're getting closer. This is a 10 gigabyte transfer, so now we're going to be much closer. Let's see what the performance is doing. A little bit slower transfer here, 225 megabytes per second, but it's climbing, so it looks like our performance is going higher. But still hovering around 235, still not bad though. Still over 200. I see transfer rates of 20 megabytes per second sometimes on certain computers, so that's pretty slow. An SD card only does about 80 to 95 megabytes per second, so 240 will take. It's no 250 or 300 or 350 or 500. That would be great, but maybe one day. Minimize that. Move these into the T7 that we just did. And now the T5 again has more capacity, so we're going to take a couple, try to keep them, I'm just going to try to keep them even really. So those went into the T5, here we go, T5. That's quite a large transfer that it looks like the T5 got unlucky with. So that's going to lower the T5 to about 62 gigabyte capacity. So it looks like the rest of the footage is probably going to go on the T7. I don't like to get these things near 50 gigabyte capacity, but right now I just have a ton of footage to edit. I've done so much shooting lately and virtually no editing, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm just backing up all my files that need to be edited, and I'm going to crank all these out and get up a lot of footage done before I allow myself to record any more, because as you can see, I only have 127 gigabytes left on my 1 terabyte hard drive, and that's all because I've got a to be edited folder of GoPro files that is 329 gigabytes large. If I can clear up 329 gigabytes thereof, that'll bring me up to around 400 gigabytes of free space, which is much more reasonable than 127. I don't like to be this low on space, because what if I went and filled a 128 gigabyte memory card? Now I'm completely out of space. I can't even make new projects. So I want to get out of this danger zone. I call that danger zone anywhere under 200 or 150, and right now I'm at 127, close to being under that 100 mark, which is just disgusting to me. So right now I'm just syncing up all my hard drives, and I'm going to go about compressing, getting the work done. So now we've got Photoshop to be edited. Looks like that. We've got Hernandez family pics. We're going to put it into the T7 here. So we'll move that into T7. So about 3 gigabytes. I'll put that into my T7 folder. And then I don't think there's anything new here. No, nothing new there. Is there anything new here? Here, what I'm going to do here is actually, I'm just going to completely replace that folder, because I know it's not huge. The whole folder is less than a gigabyte. And Time Warps, I know that hasn't changed, because I haven't added anything to there in probably a year. I don't even know why I have that folder. I will do another video where I optimize my folders here, because I've got some fat that could be trimmed, but for right now it looks like we've got 3 drives that are relatively around the same levels here. The T5 here took on a little bit more damage than the T7 500 gigabyte, but they're relatively close, and I've got all of my files now backed up from my main hard drive. Everything here, from completed videos to Photoshop documents to my JPEGs and my large PNGs, all of my to be edited files, everything is backed up to my secondary hard drives, and in the end it took me less than an hour using a mouse pad and going slower to explain it to you guys. So, spend 30-45 minutes every 2 weeks or every month. I would say maybe every week or every 2 weeks to keep your files completely up to date, keep everything backed up. If you're out shooting a lot, do it once a week, keep everything backed up. It doesn't take long at all, and it gives you peace of mind, because what if something happened to one of your hard drives? That would be devastating to lose everything. So good luck with your own backing up. Let me know what kind of setup that you're using yourself, maybe how you backed up your files or what you use. I also use Blu-ray discs. I'll show in another video where I connect a Blu-ray disc writer to my computer and I back up my files for good. Like a lot of my JPEGs and a lot of my completed videos, I'll back up for good onto something called an M disc, which is a military grade, like government used form of Blu-ray disc that is supposed to save data for forever. It's supposed to never be able to be erased or lost. I'd like to back it up to that, so that way I'll have these files when I'm, old and gray and I want to look back at them for whatever reason, or maybe I'll pass them down to my daughter and make her keep them until I die or something like that. Then she can, burn them or get rid of them or sell them or something like that. But anyway, that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please go ahead and give me a like, maybe subscribe to my channel. I plan on doing more stuff like this in the near future. I'm planning on getting that to be edited folder down, so you're gonna see some videos coming out, and I'm gonna show you guys some how-tos. I'm gonna do some fun stuff with all that footage, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I just wanted to explain a couple of things behind the scenes. Right here we've got my 3 hard drives. The gray one here is my main one. It's the 1 terabyte. This brighter blue, the more saturated blue, is the T7 500 gigabyte. It's a little bit newer. And this is the original. This is my first hard drive, is the Samsung T5 500 gigabyte. That thing's been with me through everything. I've taken it through airports, it's been microwaved, it's been zapped with x-rays. I've taken it through weather conditions in my backpack. I've dropped it, I've thrown it by mistake. That T5 has gone through everything, and not a single bit of memory has been lost. But still, I back everything up just because I don't want to be caught one day, like I said, with my pants down, where I lose a bunch of memory. Also, I get stuck using a mouse pad because my computer's outfitted with 2 USB ports and 1 USB-C port, and that's it. So my 2 drives occupy the USBs. My 1 drive takes up that there USB-C, and then I have to use no mouse. So for all of this process, I'm using a mouse pad. Not ideal, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I only do this like once a month, maybe twice a month, so it's not a huge deal.